back right here where you died from time. It's over. Everything starts from now. We all go down unless we stay together. Ain't no one man above the crew. You know that shit.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Dvdeez Nuts and Popcorn, home of the Dvdeez Nuts and Popcorn Podcast. Today, I'm going to be showing off some of my Laserdisc collection. These are the Tupac movies in my Laserdisc collection. Every movie that Tupac was featured in or co-starred in. So let's get started here. First movie is Gang Related. Gang Related was directed by Jim Koof. As far as a director, he's not really known for too much of anything amazing. This obviously stars Jim Belushi, whose career had kind of fizzled out a little bit during that whole time. I think he was coming off of doing Jingle All the Way. He was Santa Claus in that. But before them, he was kind of a really big star. I'm not going to say this movie reignited his career or anything for sure. The soundtrack in this movie is pretty solid. One of my favorite Tupac songs is on the soundtrack, Staring at the World Through My Rear View. This was released by Orion Home Video in 1997. That's going to be a running theme going on. Tupac died, remember, in 1996. Roger Ebert was a fan of this movie. He was quoted saying one of the best cop thrillers I've seen in a long time. I think it's okay. It's not one of his better movies, I don't think. It's kind of on the bottom of the list. It's decent. I don't love it. It's basically a corrupt cop movie, and Jim Belushi's like taking things way too far. Tupac's like, he doesn't like the way this is heading. He's trying to get out, but Jim Belushi's telling him it's too late. And now Jim Belushi's going after Tupac, trying to kill Tupac. And things get pretty messy in this movie. And like I said, it's okay. Nothing too spectacular. All right, next up here we have Gridlocked. Gridlock was released in 1997 by Polygram Filmed Entertainment. Tim Roth was like a real hot actor at the time. I think he had done a couple of Quentin Tarantino, well, actually more than a couple. I think he did like 3 Tarantino movies. He had done, I believe, Pulp Fiction before this. He had done Reservoir Dogs and another movie that's where he's a bellman. It's escaping me the name. This is definitely the weakest soundtracks of any of the movies that he did. Obviously, like I said, Tupac died in 96, so you can definitely attribute the lack of bangers on the soundtrack because of his death. The interesting thing about Tupac movies, they all got decent reviews. They were pretty well received. This is a heroin movie where they're petty thieves and they rob the wrong guy. They have this girl that's with them as well. I don't know if she's, it's almost like she's with both of them. But anyway, they robbed the wrong guy to get money for heroin. Now he's going after them, trying to kill them. And it's all about the how hard it is to stop doing heroin. Tupac wants to quit, or his character does. He's trying to talk Tim Roth's character into quitting. All the obstacles they run into trying to quit heroin with just the way the system is set up. It's a decent flick. Again, it's kind of at the bottom with Gang Related to me. And Tim Roth's acting's fine in it. Tupac's acting's fine in it as well. And also, I forgot to mention, this is directed by Vondi Curtis Hall. Unfortunately, that's the only person that I did not do any research on. Not sure what that person directed previous to that. All right, now we have Bullet starring Mickey Rourke. Now, this is the first film in Tupac's catalog that is actually considered a cult classic. This was directed by Julian Temple, who was most known for directing like music videos and documentaries about music. Now, this was released in 1997, post Tupac's death, by New Line Home Video release. Mickey Rourke is in it, like I mentioned, Tupac. Ted Levine, who I really like in this movie. Ted Levine, I believe, was he was in Silence of the Lambs. He was the serial killer, Buffalo Bill. And a young Adrian Brody, I think this is the first time I've seen him in a movie. He's real young in this. The only thing I remember from the soundtrack is a killer classic Barry White song. I don't really remember anything else. It seems like they play that Barry White song all throughout the movie. But anyway, Tupac and Mickey Rourke are mortal enemies in this movie. Tupac's a real slime ball, just terrible person. He actually, there's a shootout in a cafe in this movie. He actually grabs a little girl and puts a little girl in front of him, some random little girl. So it just shows you what a effed up person Tupac is in this movie. Real bad guy. Now, there's actually something funny. Mickey Rourke's best friend, I think he's an Italian guy. He's banging like all these hot women. Like he's getting all the hot chicks. And Mickey Rourke keeps telling him that he thinks he's gay. And it doesn't matter how many hot chicks his friend bangs, it's getting under his skin, and it's just hilarious. Next up here we have Poetic Justice from the legendary director John Singleton. Rest in peace, John Singleton. He was taken way too soon from us. If you don't know who John Singleton is, he directed Higher Learning, Boys in the Hood, Baby Boy. He also directed, I believe, one season of Snowfall. I haven't watched the other seasons of Snowfall, but I was really into that cable series. This was released by Columbia Pictures in 1993. This is basically a hood love story. It even says on the front of it, a street romance. And it says, cause nobody but nobody can make it out here alone. So yeah, the only Tupac movie that ever feature a love story. Yeah, man, I mean, this is I really enjoyed this. I thought it was funny, poignant, and it had a really good message as well. This had a competent R&B soundtrack. Nothing too spectacular, but I thought Janet Jackson was great in it. Tupac was good in it. Joe Torre, the comedian, was funny in it. There's this running joke. His girlfriend in the movie is telling him that he can't get it up. He needs Viagra, and he's still young, and keeps on making fun of him, saying he's losing his hair. His hair's receding and stuff, trying to get under his skin. It's really funny. But yeah, man, Poetic Justice, definitely a different movie from John Singleton, and definitely something that's really cool, man. I will be checking that out again very soon. I think I saw it probably sometime last year. All right, next up here we have Above the Rim. This is one of the better movies, definitely. It's kind of hard to say, man. The first three movies are really good. I can mix them up. My number one is my number one, but 2 and 3, between Bullet and Above the Rim, they kind of flip-flop year to year. But anyway, this was directed by Jeff Pollack. He actually died at 53 years old in 2013 after going out for a jog. I mean, the irony in that, you go out to jog and get some exercise to stay fit and healthy, and you die of a heart attack, right? But anyway, he also directed Booty Call. I think that had Jamie Foxx in it. Real funny movie. And Lost and Found. I never saw Lost and Found. It had was it Jeff Spade in it? No, David Spade. All right, so there are so many cool people in this movie, like the late great Bernie Mac, the comedian, Wood Harris, who ended up acting in The Wire. He was great in that. Leon Robinson, who I think is most known for The 5 Heartbeats, and also he was great in Cool Runnings with John Candy. This was released in 1994 by New Line Productions. Has a good soundtrack. It has Tupac's Pour Out a Little Liquor, So Much Pain. So, yeah, really cool soundtrack. I felt like there were real basketball players in this movie. There was really good basketball sequences, and Tupac is a real bad guy in this one as well. Probably his best bad guy besides this next movie here. Power, Respect. We have the movie Juice. Yes, Juice is, to me, this movie just exudes everything early 90s to me. And that has to do with this top tier soundtrack. Definitely the best soundtrack of any Tupac movie, but it also equally as important as the musical, or as equally as important as the musical score in this, which was done by Hank Shockley in The Bomb Squad, which is Public Enemy, right? So I watch this movie probably at least once every year. It was directed by Ernest Dickinson, who directed Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight, Surviving the Game with Ice-T, Never Die Alone with DMX, and he also did the cinematography. He's known as a really great cinematographer, and you see it in this movie Juice. The way things look, it's just It's a really good looking movie, really well shot. But he's known for the cinematography in a lot of the Spike Lee movies like Malcolm X, Do the Right Thing, to name a couple of them. This was released in 1992 by Paramount Pictures. This was Tupac's acting debut. It's got a young Omar Epps in it as well. And the cool story about this is Tretch from Naughty by Nature, who's also in this movie, actually took Tupac for the audition just to hang out, just brought him with, not to audition, just because he said, hey, I'm going to go on an audition for this movie. Why don't you just come hang along with me? So he comes with him. Tretch auditions, I believe, for Bishop, the role that Tupac ends up getting. And they ask him, who's that guy out in the waiting room? And they're like, oh, that's my friend Tupac. They get Tupac in there and audition him for the role, and he gets the role of Bishop. So I thought that was a really cool story. This has like I said, the cinematography is amazing in it. It's 90s to the bone. The music soundtrack. Let me go over the music soundtrack with you guys. What's on the music soundtrack? We have Uptown Anthem by Naughty by Nature. That was a banger back in the day. You have Know the Ledge, one of my favorite Eric B. and Rakim songs. That was like kind of the end of Rakim and Eric B's career. After that, you really didn't see anything too much too great from them, but man, they went out with a crazy song. Know the Ledge was a perfect song. It was almost like it was written for the movie Juice. You have Is It Good to You, performed by Teddy Riley. Enough Respect, performed by Big Daddy Kane. So You Want to Be a Gangster, performed by Too Short. So many hits, so many bangers on this. Man, I love this movie Juice. Like I said, I watch this movie at least once a year. Tupac's debut. Tupac, his best acting performance out of any of the movies that I just showed you. Excellent film. Check it out if you haven't checked it out. All right, guys, thanks for watching the video. I'll talk to you guys later.